25th of June. I'm going to harvest this cauliflower and some of this broccoli now. The weather is, as you can see, it's dismal. It's pouring down. Yeah, I could do with some rain, but a couple of hours without it would be quite handy right now, because I've actually got some stuff to plant out, but I don't know whether I'll do it today. A bit limited on time, you see, for getting it out. So we'll just have to see how it goes. Hopefully maybe today or tomorrow I can get it out. Otherwise it's chucking it down tomorrow and inevitably I'll have to go and plant it. It's just some dwarf French bean, so if I can film it I will. So some of this will actually be coming out completely because I need that bed freed up for the Brussels sprouts. So the broccoli at the end, I'll have a look at the variety of the tag still down in the autumn one that had blown. Them plants are going to be coming straight out. The collies, obviously, the whole plant will come out. The broccoli, I'll probably cut the heads until all the cauliflowers are out for now. I just think it's a bonus side sheet, really. So, bit of an idiot being out here in the rain, but you know, it's got to be done. I don't really want the collie heads to get soaking wet, you know, because they're not like really well covered, and they can go brown or a bit pinkish colour if they get too wet. So, I say these were just all testing varieties, and to be honest, this first one, which if the tag will be in there somewhere, doesn't seem too bad. They're a bit irregular, you know. There's a couple that are big, and then there's some I can't even see yet. So, which is these two here. There's nothing on them yet. There's a smaller one here, and there's two bigger ones here. The other ones I don't know yet. But the broccoli, that's all alright. That variety is Iron Man. It's done alright. I've grown it before years ago. Done it the odd time. It's the closest I can find to the usual one which I grow, which is Aquils. Which one do I think's the best? Personally, I'd still go for the Aquils. Even though the previous crop, you know, the first half this year hasn't been great. But nevertheless, the Iron Man, it's done well considering it's quite crowded, this bed. You know, there's a lot of plants in here. I mean, there's 20 plants in here, 20 brassicas in an 8 foot by 4 foot bed, so it's pretty crowded. I thought I'll get these cauliflower heads out because obviously we've got the rain now and the slugs have been coming out. So I've been out at night. It's the best thing to do if you're struggling with slugs. If if it's in your garden or you can get access to your plot at night, fine. Head torch on, go around, and just dispatch of any slugs you can find, because it just prevents them obviously breeding. You can kind of keep them numbers in check, because a slug can lay a lot of eggs and cause you a lot of problems. Because it's the small ones that can be a real pain. The big ones can demolish a plant, but the small ones are the ones that can get into your potatoes and obviously into they just gnaw away at everything. But if you can keep them numbers in check, you kind of assist in nature, because they do have predators. I have some in the back garden here, some predators which aren't really a welcome one, which is a New Zealand flatworm. Looks a bit like a leech, because they eat worms mainly, which you don't want, but they do attack slugs as well. So whenever I find them, I do get rid of the flatworms, because you can't just chop them, because they'll just form. If you chop it in half, they'll form two. Or cut it into four, it'll form four, because they're quite uniquely designed like that. So I kind of just turn them into a paste pretty much, or drop them in some vinegar just to completely dispatch them, because I don't want to decimate the whole worm population in the garden, but there'll be a balance met, and if I can kind of keep it in the worms' favour, because worms are a gardener's friend, and kind of help in keeping the slug population down, then that's a bonus, because they are a bit of a gardener's nightmare, slugs. So I'll just work your area on this bed, and pegs out, because I've not actually weeded this bed for a long time. It does need a clear, to get it ready, because obviously there'll be a full new net going on here. How well the sprouts do, I don't know, because it does get a bit shady down there, but I think there's enough time left of the season for them to get some growth. Because there is still, we're only just over halfway through the year. And they are quite tall already. But I don't want to, because they've rooted through the pot into the ground a little bit, so I just have to keep lifting them, just so they don't get too comfy roots in the ground. And hopefully in the next sort of 2 weeks everything will be done in here, and get this out and get them sprouts in. And obviously, the more time I can have without plants in this, slugs, if there's anything hiding in here, we'll vacate, because there's nothing in there. for them to eat. Right, we'll get rid of broccoli first. Just cut the main heads off. My secateurs in my pocket if I can get them out. I'm trying not to cut my finger. Did that last year. I'm snipping one, I wasn't looking, I caught my finger. Right, so I'm not too fussed about side shoots, so I might actually rip these broccoli out, but good size head. Any longer they probably begin to blow, but they're not, offside looking, they're not as dense as what the quails usually are. The quails are nice compact, it's a good dense head. These have got quite long stalks, which are nice and tender when they're cooked. You'll be steaming them out. Some of them will probably get a little bit bigger, but it's borderline. I mean, that's another, they're fairly uniform size. They're all kind of 4 or 5 inch, really. As I say, just a testing sort of different varieties. I've only grown the Iron Man out of these before. I might have done that broccoli over there years ago, but I came through it post and I thought I'll give them a go. Like I say, quite a tall plant, and the side shoots aren't small and compact, they're quite long. If you pick them and they're really tiny, they're probably okay. Be a bit like purple sprouting, I guess, quite a big plant. Obviously, the whole bolting lark is probably because obviously it's been quite hot. So I've got five broccoli heads there. So I'm happy about that. Because like I say, it's a bonus crop. And I obviously got the other ones from the allotment as well. So I guess we just get this cauliflower out now. So there's a smallish one there. I'll take that one, because otherwise they're fully exposed, you see. They're just going to get wet, and like I said, there's some that are getting a bit pinkish on the tops here already, but it won't matter to flavour. I'm just going to cut the... it's a tough old stem, that. Cut that out. Just going to chuck the leaves down here, they're going compost bin after. Sort of take some of the greens off. You can eat the greens, so if they're in good nick I might give some to Kane. I have to watch what I feed Kane, you see. Just going to trim that a little bit. Just keeping some of the foliage because I don't want to get too wet while they're out here, but same again, it's probably a 5 inch head that. It's a good size, good dense head, but a little bit closer you can see some bit of like pinking going on. That can happen. The little spider there, just flick him out because he's a friend. But it'll be fine. It's no problems eating her out like that. And it's nice to see there's no holes. Can't see any slugs. No doubt the other half will dissect them. Be more thorough than what I would anyway. Right, so kind of quickly get these out because I don't want them taking on too much water. I'll try and find the tag once I get a few plants out of the way. So when I come out, last 2 nights I've been out dispatching slugs and that, and last night there were a lot less than the first night, so it's obviously they've been hiding away in the hot dry weather, and that bit of rain comes and they're out. But, no signs of slugs on that. First thing you notice is like little slug, obviously slug poo, but nothing, which is quite rare. So the nets do help as well. And snails have been a bit of an issue, but luckily the snails can't get in through these nets. Maybe real baby ones can, but the old chunky ones tend to find their way onto my sunflowers. I've been giving them a hard time, I know. God knows what they're like at the plot. Takes us a few days. Now, I think about 4 days ago I went down. So I mean, it's a smaller head, you know, but it's a meal, you know. It's cost me nothing to grow. You know, the beds were just topped up with. I remember when I redid these beds, they were topped up with that old spent compost that's been grown in, and all the plant pots that were laying around. So I'm trying to find this tag. This is called Sapporo F1. So yeah, I like it. You know, I wasn't keen at first because they sent me these by accident, because I've been after some avalanche for years, but I can't find them. Stopped doing so. There's something that's supposed to be close to them. They're supposed to send them, but they're out of stock, so they sent me these ones, which weren't known for being gigantic ones, because the avalanche were massive. But it's a good sized curd to me. It's all right. Right, take some of these other ones now. A lot of softer stem on these, which is a bonus for cutting through. Trying to find the tag. These are called Tirza. Well, Tirza. Not as big. More of a like a old top end sort of collie, doesn't it? You know, you get some that are really domed that come round underneath. I think there's one called a snowball that's a bit like that. Igloo. You know, because you want a nice tight compact head. You know, you get them sometimes and you think, oh, it's nearly ready, and then it's blown. You know, but these are nowhere near blowing. But I think if we had any more hot weather, then it could kind of encourage them to. See if we've got any more that are ready. Them two are a bit small, so what I might do with them, the old-fashioned way was you get your leaves and you'd pull them together and you put a clothes peg on, and that kind of protects them. But what I'm going to do, I'm just going to actually snap a couple of the greens. Not completely off, just snap the main vein, like that. And just tuck it over the head, and that'll just deflect some of the water. Bearing in mind it also gives a place for slugs to go. So hopefully the slugs will stay away for a bit. So overall, not bad. You know, I'm fairly happy with that. So I'll get the rest of this bed cleared, and then we'll go from there. Right, that's the bed pretty, you know, it's had a bit of a weed. Just clearing some lower foliage, because they're all places for slugs to hide. You know, you got a leaf sort of like covering the ground. They'll quite happily sit under that. There's holes in a few of the leaves, so there's obviously some in there somewhere. So gotta keep my eye on it. Obviously it's a good time to just have a bit of a weed. Check around the edge of your bed. You know, to have a little gap down the side, you know, where it's obviously it's dried out and shrunk back a bit. Little holes where slugs hide. And if you see any now, get them out. I've not seen any, but there will be more than likely a snail in there somewhere. So the idea is see whichever plant's got the most holes in, and come back to that one in the dark. And pretty much 9 times out of 10 you'll see it there, happily munching away, which is a bit annoying, but nevertheless, just the way gardening goes. Right, so I've got my Brussels sprout seedlings over there, so I'm going to move them over into here because it frees that end of that bed up. So, because that's obviously the bed they're going to finish up in. So I'm just waiting for them. So I've got 2 collies here that haven't quite formed yet. There's something going on because obviously the leaves start that twisting thing in the middle. these two have formed. These are currently forming, so hopefully in the next couple of weeks they'll be out, and I can get them Brussels sprouts in then. Sooner the better. But if I run out of time, I'll have to just sacrifice some plants because I need to get these sprouts in so they can get a good bit of growing time. The old plane to go over. It's a helicopter. Probably looking down at me thinking, what's that bloody idiot doing out in this? Oh, well, like I said before, you know, you wait for the weather, you wait forever. So there's roots coming out the bottom of them. You just need to just uproot now and then, you know, they get a bit too comfortable in the spot. But they won't get much more time in here because they'll be starting to touch the top of that net before long. And I don't want them to get too leggy, so I don't know how you can say it, but some roots there brought a bit of compost up from the bed. Same as I did last year, these Maximus. I wasn't going to do any sprouts, but I thought, well, I'll sow some. Because usually I'd have a bit more room, but because I did extra onions here, that's swallowed up like 8 foot by 3 foot of the garden, so it's a bit of a struggle this year trying to find space for everything. So I've got a stack of lettuce that's desperate to go out. So I'm going to put some iceberg down in that end. Got a few more remain to put out. Just to fill up that bed again. I've got one more to take out. The other one started to rot off a bit on top and got a bit sunburnt the other day. But I'll peel it back, and if there's any good stuff in the middle, I'll give that to Kane. And then I need to start thinking about re-sowings for the cut and come again, you know, because they only last so long. I've got like 4 picks now or something like that, so you've got to sort of decide, you know, you have a final good pick, and hopefully that'll tide you over until you can get some fresh pickings off your new seedlings. So there's always usually a couple of weeks where it's down, unless if you put some in another bed, but I'll just switch over to Kane's lettuce if need be for a couple of weeks. Then again, there's a stack of broccoli to start chomping down on. And I think the rain's eased off a lot, you know, because it's not a bad time to get stuff planted because it says you're watering it in. So they should be relatively safe in there, well, from things like butterflies and that anyway. Just a case if you've got anything on these other brassicas, we sort of like jump ship across to them. I'm sort of like trying to think what I do with my knife. Knowing me, I'll probably put it somewhere, and there it shall remain for a little while. Oh, it's over there, it's alright. Roll these nets down now. Next door's garden, grass coming through your field. I'm tempted to take and I pinch a bit of your garden to grow stuff in. Grass is sort of laying flat now. It's about 3 foot high, but it's never that much rain. It's just toppled over, full of seed, like. Some people just can't be bothered putting a mower on or a strimmer. Saying that they can't do it, well, I can't be bothered. Well, I do kill a lot of brambles and that. I should just pay for some weed killer. The last few years I've just doused it with weed killer. Kind of got rid of brambles. Right, so I'll put some iceberg in there. Hopefully I can get these other remain out of the way. I'll try and move the camera and try and get some footage as I'm doing it anyway. Right, I'll just get these other lettuce out here for now. So you probably not see a great deal because you're kind of over the other side of the garden. So I'm kind of hoping don't get any raindrops hitting smack on the lens, but you never know. Might try and move it in a minute if I can. So I don't need this net all the way up. Should be careful obviously because seeds are in there, so I've got to, grass seeds, don't go and drop all over it. Obviously this side's been replanted up, so I need to take a lettuce from there. That's 2 lettuce, so say one's a bit manky, it's got probably a bit wet and a bit hot as well. Just a case of shearing it off. That's the good one. Put that on top of here for now. So this is shoot it over here. We've got another one here. It's getting a bit of rot going on. I can hack that down. Kate won't mind. Just get to having a little bit of a weed. There you go. And then gouge out these other fruit balls. I don't want them in the way when I'm planting the other stuff. I'll get the majority of them out of the way. Some quite big roots in there, you see, but they'll just rot into bed. And 4 root balls there. Right, better put my gloves back on. Now, I'm not sure it'll remain anyway. I might put a few down the plot. The slugs will have them a bit there though. Get them out from under my net. Full tray. 40 remain, and don't know how many I've got room for here, but we'll see what we can get in. See, they'll hold back for quite a while, so you can, because they'll only be a couple of weeks and they'll be ready. Guess just smoothing over your holes and roughly work out where you want your next batch. Pushing it a bit there, I'll try and squeeze a bit more in. Oh, the rootstock there I missed. Try and rip it out. In the corner of bed. Right. I'll put them a bit close together actually. Just harvest them smaller. One there. Yeah, I might have to just sort of fibre-dice these ones. Won't look the same as it did before, but don't mind. If you even get a small one just for a bit of a, if you're having a salad, just come out and pick one. The ground is still quite dry, obviously, because the lettuce has been shielding these. So how these come out of here, I'm not sure, but we shall see. Full of roots. Let's just simply bob it in. Dig that all a bit deeper. if your tray starts getting a bit overcrowded, you can sort of split them into two trays and kind of try and five-a-dice them in a tray. As long as they've got a bit of soil to grow in, and they start going a bit pale, just give them a bit of a feed with something. Just basic plant food will do. Well, something nitrogen based. Just got to be careful. You can bury them a little bit deeper, but don't go too deep, because you can actually rot the stem off. Which does happen to me quite a bit, especially if it gets a bit windy, it rocks off. So that's them good to go. I should imagine they'll probably take about, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 weeks, and then the same again. Like I say, just if you've got any sort of yellow leaves around the bottoms of any other seedlings while you've got the net up, just nip them out. There's only sap in life from the actual plant. You know, so you think, well, get rid of a dying leaf and maybe put that power into a growing leaf instead. You know, but I could use these as come again if I wanted to. I could just start picking out leaves now and then. You know, so I'm not too concerned about running out of lettuce. Not yet, anyway. I'm just concerned about running out of space. That's that bed, so I'm going to put some iceberg in here. I've got quite a few iceberg, but I'm not growing a load. Right, I've tried to move the camera to give you a bit more of a better angle. Just grab these other icebergs. Obviously they've been, you know, open to the rain under my little net shelf thing, which does help. Obviously they do get a little bit wet because they're flat on some wood, you know what I mean. So I might have to put them on some rack just to help them drain off. You know, because I don't want them damping off and everything. Right, so let's get my dibber. Variety is Barcelona. I have to think them for a minute. You know, I've got quite a few here. You know, slugs might come and have a do, but it's just kind of working out where you want them. You know, because you do get quite big. I'll just have to be careful on that. So I'll just kind of split this area up a bit. Hey. One there. Well, I'm not going to get 4 in a row, I don't think, so I think we'll just go for 3 in a, give them a bit more room. You know, but if they start to get a bit crowded, you know, you can sort of, they won't heart up the same, but you can use them as like a cut and come again. Remember, right, they do get fairly big. So it's usually these 3 at this end that become the ones that slugs tend to cop into. Because near as that garden and all the crap that's down the side there. I'm hoping they'll come out nicely. Yeah, simply. And then nestle it in. Make them holes a bit slacker, because they are really wet, these. I don't really want to press them in too hard. Just ever such a slightly different seed tray, this. Try and nestle it in like that. A few little red sort of aphids on the back of that. Give a bit of time to get going, then you get an old spray. I'm not afraid of using bug sprays. You know, but honestly, only things get out of hand. Otherwise, just a bit of a soapy solution of water. Yeah, you know, there is a thing about you know, using things like Fairy. It's a detergent, yeah, it is, but if you mix it thin enough, it does help a little bit. You know, otherwise you've got like neem oil and like castor soaps and that. Obviously a little bit more expensive, but probably worth it. These need to dry out a bit, these really. We'll see how they get on. Like these root balls are really soggy and sodden. I think now they've got foliage on the top. Kind of work like they do when they're in the ground, like water shoots. Guide it down. So I'm not going to water them at all. Hopefully where it's a bit dry under there, it'll pull a bit of moisture out of that root ball. You know, I've still got 8, 9, 12 left, so plenty left. Alright, so I'll drop this net back down and then I've got to harvest some courgettes before they get too big. Right, I'm just going to harvest some of these courgettes. They're not big, they're only, you know, small, but if you don't regularly take them, you can end up with some big ones, and then you can have too many. I mean, if you only got like one plant, yeah, fine, let them get a little bit bigger, but I like them sort of 6-7 inch is enough. Otherwise, they can get sort of a bit overbearing sometimes. It's just a case of, you know, cutting through the stalk. You can use secateurs if you want. You know, they'll in doing this, it'll transfer its energy, you know, to another one. I mean, you can pick, you know, all of them off if you want. Anything that's sort of drops its flower off the end, or, you know, so to speak, and you know, only tiny, but perfectly fine. Little curly whirly one there. I'll get rid of that because it's not going to come too much. Leave that one. I've got one here that's done like a double, which I'll show you in a second. Which does happen sometimes. Ends up being like it's like 2 courgettes together, twin. But it's a courgette still, so I'm not bothered. Obviously, as you're going around, if you've got any like yellowing foliage at the bottom, just snip that off. So I've had a bit of black fly on these, to be honest. I sprayed them the other day with a bit of soapy water, and it seems to have, yeah. There's just a few here. Well, hardly any. The other day there was a load on, so I thought, right, I need to get these sprayed. Because they'll transfer a world of problems if you're not careful. Never really had a great deal of problems with black fly. It's a bit more white fly this year. Regarding feeding your courgettes, just old tomato feed, anything that's a bit of potash in it. So I'm not one for size of crops. And if you suddenly get any that start going mush at the end, it just means it's not set, it's not pollinated. But there are varieties it doesn't need to do that. I mean, this is Defender, this variety. And falls enough, I've got a few down the bottom end of the garden just as a backup and one at the plot in the fruit cage, but we're having these for tea tonight, these, so they'll go down alright. You know, nice and small, like 4, 5, 6 inch, some of them, so they'll do just fine. Well, that's it for the back garden, so I'm going to go grab a brew, and then it's not raining at the moment, so I think I'm going to head down the plot and get the dwarf French beans planted out in the sweet corn. So it's going to be a longish video, but just saves doing it in umpteen little videos. You know, just kind of get it all videos, get it edited and put it on. So I shall see you down the allotment. Right, I finally got down to the plot. It started raining again. So I'm going to put out the dwarf French beans. We're currently in my fruit cage. I got over here, there's a bit of grass growing here, just some little spiky bits, so I've just put another sort of, inch of that compost on. So hopefully it's alright. The variety, I'm not sure if it's Ferrari or Safari. If I can remember, I'll put it in the description below what these dwarf French beans are. I can't remember what spacings it suggested, but sometimes they say 9 inches. But I'm going to plant them, kind of stagger them. So they're probably 3 rows. I'm going to grow them in like a small block. And then I've got some of the like baby sweet corn, which I'll pop down the bottom end. It is quite a way away from the other bed, so it shouldn't interfere with that, hopefully. And it's just a bit of space. See what happens. I've done dwarf French beans in here, years ago. If you look back, probably 2013, 2014. My raspberries were actually here then, and no fruit cage, and I did some sweet corn and some dwarf French beans, and they did all right, to be honest. As did some spuds that I sort of randomly planted here. But this soil's never been prepared or anything. I mean, I dug it over the other week, just here, sort of 2 spades wide, spade deep, dug it over, put some compost on. Because it's usually all grass this, because I put a load of compost on it in the winter. I'm hoping it's kind of, it'll gradually bugger off, but I can see bits of grass coming through, so I'll have to just keep mulching it and weeding it and see how we go. But blueberries have started putting loads of fresh shoots out down the bottom, so like I said, not going to fruit a great deal this year, but I'm not too worried about that. So I'm just hoping these will come out, these pots alright. It's kind of like roughly working out these spacings, I guess, so I might just try and pop them out and space a few. There's a decent root ball on them. There's sort of one about there. They're probably going to end up like, 8-9 inches apart, sort of thing. I'm bothered to lay down it just to get them out of here, and then I can get some planted then. Like I said, they don't get very high, these. They shouldn't do anyway. So first one, yeah, shove that about there. It's fairly dry down there still. But I'm not going to water them, because they've had a right good water anyway, these. But the root balls are pretty soaking, so they should kind of tide them over. We are forecast a few days of rain. That soil under here is that proper lumpy stuff. I didn't dig it and break it up fine, but just see how they get on. It's just one of them sort of later sort of thing you can get sown. Right there. You can sow these probably for about another month. I'd probably say some varieties are probably longer, but look at your seed packet, and like I said, the weather this year's been a bit odd, so don't take dates for granted. They're true. You might end up with a really mild winter. Things might carry on cropping well into November and that, you see. It's never quite know. I'll do it all there. I found a cane here, so instead of messing about, I'll kind of scribe a bit of a line. Give me a rough sort of idea where that is. About there. Press it down so. Get that out of the way. Just got to be careful when I come in to start harvesting my blueberries. I'm not walking all over these, because you do get fairly sort of little bushy plants. I like them when they produce the bean sort of above the plant. I'm not sure with these they're doing it. But it's food. It's probably my favourite bean, to be honest, raw French beans. I like them nice and small. Swing out the way. Sort of like on the borderline here where I dug really, but never mind. I'll have to just get some roots in. Obviously I'm going to put some slug pellets down around the outside of the bed. I'm not going to put loads down. Obviously birds aren't going to come in here and eat them, so should be alright. It's a bit close, that one. Actually, I'll dig it back up carefully. Move it this way a bit more. I've got a watering can in the van, so I might put a bit of water on, just to be on the safe side a bit. It's proper chunky mud here. Just see how they go. Put this scallop beans in, and we'll have this sweet corn in. You can do this in a straight roll, this stuff, because it doesn't have to be pollinated. It's only like the mini baby corn. So they've kind of got about 8 inches apart in all directions, which should be enough. You know, and it gets most of the sun in the day from behind me, so it's not a fact of the sweet corn will get tall and shade the beans a lot. So these aren't root bound at all, they're just about sort of ready. Like I say, these were just surplus left over. I thought I'll put them in. And anyway, there's 9 of them and all 9 seeds germinated, so I thought, well, instead of throwing them away. Didn't bother picking them really last year, dried it, they were too big, so it's a case of getting them a bit earlier really. Planted mainly in this top layer, but you should automatically sort of sense more moisture down below and get some tap roots down on that. Hopefully. As it's grown, I can maybe put a bit of mulch around them a bit more as well, just to stop the weed growth. Obviously this soil I've dug up comes to the top and that'll be full of grass seeds and whatnot. It shouldn't be long and some of these blueberries will start ripening. Right, we're going to get with another job now, which is just put some lettuce in between the sweet corn that I've already got down the other end. So we'll have a look at that when I've finished it, but I might give them water, or I might just leave them be and go from there. Because I say it's raining, it's due to rain for a few days now, so let nature do it for me. I'll see. Right, I'll just quickly show you what I've done here lettuce wise. So I don't know if you can see, but you've got the sweet corn here, and then in between the sweet corn, just around the edge, I've got, there's 4 remain this side, there's 4 remain the other side, and then across there I've got 4 iceberg, and I had another 2 with me, so I'll just kind of put them, well, like I say, just down there. So they have like a big square bit, but they'll probably get quite blocked out from the light eventually down there, so they might get a bit leggy, but these should do okay around the side. But like I say, on here, slugs will have a right good go at them. And, that's just the way it goes. Slugs are having a bit of a go at everything, but not a lot I can do about that. I can't come up here and check it that often, so just have to take what I can take really. So on that note, before it absolutely starts chucking it down even more, but I can't remember, needed some rain really. But, you know, so things will just finish off now, because I really am getting desperate. I need to get that other stuff up here and planted. So my onions have got to finish swelling and topple, and the garlic as well. So I'm kind of hoping no more than 4 weeks really. Otherwise, I'm going to really struggle to try to keep them seedlings alive. But never mind. I can always pot them on, but I don't really want to be doing that. So thanks for watching. Take care, and I'll see you in the next video, which will probably be more potato harvest, the Swift. They're pretty much done, but they're so dry, so I'm not expecting a big yield of them. I did give them like a full watering can per 20 litre sort of bag, you know, just try and wet them up, because they're just flying straight through the water. So even after a couple of days rain, it didn't really help them out. So we'll just see how they go. It's my own compost, so. And they were kind of a bit of a late last minute idea, because they were supposed to send me Swift originally, but they sent Rocket, and then they sent me some Swift, so we'll just see how that goes. So take care, and we'll see you next time. Bye bye.